We are still accepting donations for our 400 for the 400 initiative. The Valley will be sowing seeds, meeting the needs from March through August. If you would like to be a blessing and participate, you can bring the following items to worship. Care packages such as toothbrushes and toothpaste, combs, deodorant, lotion and mouthwash, hand wipes, shampoo, hand sanitizer, first aid kits, socks, and school supplies. Digging Deep, Living a Life on Purpose. This is the final week of General Session teachings on family in the Tabernacle. Join us starting next week, May 8th, for our online sessions at 7 p.m.
What would happen if the people of God started handling money God's ways? You work too hard to get to the end of your life and have nothing to show for it.
This is my family's legacy that I'm talking about here. I've got to have a plan and be focused.
That knowledge that you pass down to your kids, that is how you change a family tree.
You change your life when you get sick and tired of being sick and tired. And you have that moment where you say, I've had it. I am not going to live like this anymore.
Attention, all Valley leaders. Our next leadership meeting will be held Sunday, May 19th, immediately following worship. If you have not already done so, please sign up to our YouTube page to view all of the Valley events and much, much more. Tune into the Valley's YouTube page to view sermons, V-News, and much, much more. If you are not a Valley YouTube subscriber, please sign up and get more of the Valley experience.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. Welcome to another night of Real Talk. Real stories from real people about real life. We know you've enjoyed Real Talk over these last several weeks. We've had some great guests, and that will continue to happen on tonight. I want you to get excited about the guests that we have on tonight because they have some real stories. They are definitely real people, and they're talking about real life. Our foundation scripture, as it always has been over these last several weeks, is Revelation chapter 12, verse 11. It says, we conquer over the enemy by the blood of the Lamb, and guess what? The word of our testimony. So the word of the testimony is going forth tonight as it always does. I was thinking about something earlier, having a conversation, actually with one of my guests, talking about the circle of people that you're around. And we were talking about people that drain you when you're around them, but then there are people that brings energy when you're around them. So these two guests, right, that I have bring energy. So get ready to get excited about them. But let me go back and tell you this. If your circle of people always drain you, you don't feel inspired, you don't feel encouraged when you're around them, you might not have a circle. You just might have a cage. Think on these things. Get around inspiring and encouraging people. So our first guest, get ready to hear the testimony from our sister, Esther Hinton.
Well, good evening. The real talk that I want to bring to you today is my life. And I'll start from when I was born. I'm one of 8 siblings. I have 8 sisters and brothers. There's 9 of us all together. And I am a product of Cabrini Green projects that no longer exist, the white projects. I was the 5th child being born. And I'm going somewhere with this, so stay with me. I was the fifth child being born. My mom was in the hospital, pregnant with me, about to give birth to me, and I had two sisters and two brothers over me, two boys, two girls. They're all at home rooting for the boys a boy and the girls wanted a girl. Well, when I was born, it turned out it was a girl. Everybody went to bed, and my mom brought me home several days later. When she brought me home, my sisters and brothers later told me that they looked at me and said, "Oh, take her back. She's ugly." And so what I want to say is at that point, the enemy tried to stop my purpose. He tried to stop my purpose even before I knew there was purpose. A seed of rejection was planted in me in my life at that time. And I went on to grow. I went on to grow to understand that in high school, in grammar school, I did well. I ran track. I was competitive. My mom kept us in things, but not of it. So being a product of Cabrini Green, I could have well gotten in trouble, but my mom always kept us busy. So I ran track with Jesse White, Jesse Owens at the time, and that kept us busy, going to the YMCA after school. All went well then. Got into high school. Needless to say, I back up. At that point, my dad, the 4 other children were born. My dad was a pastor. And so on top of a spirit of rejection, I was also a PK kid. Now, all these things were in me that I wasn't aware of because, again, I was too young to realize that's what was happening to me at that time. Going into high school, we moved from Cabrini Green. We moved into a parsonage that where my father pastored, and I changed schools. And we know when you go to other schools, you encounter challenges, as the new person on the block. I was always a kind of underdog person, so I always wanted to rescue the people that weren't doing well. As a result, I wasn't really looking at my own life. We went, did well there, continued to move forward. 2 years later, my father took another assignment as a pastor, moved into another area, moved further west into what's called K-Town now. I was around Cicero and Chicago Avenue. Moved my family there. However, I saw so much hypocrisy in my home that anymore, I'm not doing it anymore until, and those were my words. I'm not doing it anymore. I made a decision at age 18 that I'm not going to say. Before I turned 18, I loved the Lord. And I didn't realize what my purpose was, but I knew I loved the Lord. I knew there were things going on. I knew I loved the Lord. I knew I wanted a relationship with him, but I said, not until. I'm leaving this. I don't want to go through what I'm going through. Later, my father and my mother were divorced. My mom, all 9 of us were at home. Again, the seed of rejection was growing in me. And so through high school, had challenges, was teased, baby fat, and all of that, and not realizing who I was, I made a decision. And the decision was, I'll show you. Everyone that came against me, everyone that said I didn't look like I should have looked, everyone that didn't like who I was because I was different, everyone that I didn't fit in with, the group that I didn't fit in with, I said, I'll show you. And I began to build an altar in my life of I'll show you. And so I had this armor exterior. Well, I began to build a wall around myself. And the wall was really to keep others out. But I didn't realize I was enclosing myself. I was insecure. There was my wall. Through my own insecurities, it was difficult to be in relationships, 18, life relationship. It was difficult because of my insecurities. Then I was so sensitive. And as a result of my sensitivity, I was always defensive, which arguments ensued. Again, uncomfortable with who I was. It wasn't that people were rejecting me. I didn't know who I was. I didn't like who I was. And I didn't even know it. Seed of rejection growing inside of me, trying to thwart my purpose in life. And so I went on, continued. Now, I was driven. I wasn't driven because I had a passion to accomplish something. I was driven because there was something inside of me by what God created and who he created me to be that was saying, you're going to be something. And I think in that, my mind was interpreting it. Again, I have no working knowledge of this. I'm making decisions. I want to be someone. I saw 2 sisters and 2 brothers graduate high school and never go to college. And I said, I don't want that. One thing I knew, I had to have a piece of paper in order to make money. And I was decided that I was going to make money. And so in my 8th grade high school graduation, the military came. And the Air Force, the Army, the Navy. And after listening to them talk, I realized that that was my ticket. That was my ticket to go to school. That was my ticket to get out of the neighborhood. That was my ticket to get the piece of paper, the degree that I needed to make the money that I desired to make. And so I joined the Air Force. And for 5.5 years, I was in the Air Force. Again, still not liking who I was, but driven by, I'll show you. 5.5 years, went into the Air Force, got out of the Air Force, made a decision, got work with the state, and life just continued. Relationships still not really being connecting to the point where I was. Didn't have any individuality, not realizing that I was a unique person. As a result of getting out of the Air Force, because at the time my mother was still alive while I was in the Air Force, and all the values and the standards that she had put in me, I had made a decision, there isn't anything that I would do that would shame my mother. That couldn't get back to her. I was way over in Germany, thousands of miles away, but when I thought about my actions and how they would affect my mother, I wouldn't do it. My mom passed in '83. I got out of the Air Force in that same year and kind of spiraled from there. I began to do drugs, and I had decided that over the course of my life and while I was in the Air Force, I had done drugs before. But I had decided, I'll try a little bit of everything. That way I won't get hooked on any one thing. But then cocaine. And so I became a working addict because I knew I had to keep a roof over my head. It was only me caring for me. And I became a working addict. And in the throughout this time, I was also very promiscuous and just living a life. And now, don't get me wrong, I wasn't living a bad life. I was going to hell for sure because I had backed out. I was backslidden, but I was going to hell in a limousine. I was doing well. The top was open, my hand was out, and I was waving. I was living life and loving it. Now, granted, I didn't know. See, the rejection was in me. Yes, I was defensive. Yes, I was insecure. Yes, I had a wall built up, and you couldn't get in except for special people. Some people like chiseling at that wall. And so there were times, but I was enjoying the life that I was living, yet it was an empty life. And so everything that I did and was doing was leading me to a place. And so now, here I am, coming out of the Air Force, getting off of drugs, making a decision that this isn't going to work. I was in a dark place and my home, actually in my sister's home, and I did everything that drug addicts do. I stole, I cheated, I lied to get the drugs, and then I got to a place that was so dark that I felt that I was in a hole and I couldn't see light. And at that point, I made a decision. What came to me was the words, if the poem is true, that when there's only one set of footprints in the sand, you're carrying them. God, I need you to carry me now. And at that point, the thought came to me, and remember, I'm not saved, the thought came to me to what would I do if I wanted to drug? And I decided to make phone calls. I called all my sisters and brothers. Nobody wanted to see me like I was because they had never seen me that way. And so one of my brothers called, and I left there, went to California, and I was there for 18 years, where God saved me in the wilderness and returned me after 17 years back here home to Chicago, only to start a business that I have now, only to excel in my purpose of relationship. I am now a whole person. I have now been healed of a spirit of rejection. I now talk and minister to other women to be healed from a spiritual, a spirit of rejection, and also to be emotionally healed because I was abused emotionally in relationships in general and by what people said and how they said it to me. And instead of speaking back, I internalized that and used it against myself. But today I can stand here saying, I love me, I like me, and now I can take the things that I learned and share with others. So be blessed and know that you are an individual and you can love you too.
Wow. Real talk from real people about real life. Are you out there trying to prove something to somebody? There's a reason behind that. I can imagine how much pressure is on you because you're trying to prove something to somebody. You know why I can imagine it? Because at one point in my life, I was trying to prove something to somebody. I can relate to that story. Can you relate to that story? I bet you can. Well, here's another story coming to you from a young man that I know very well and I've known for several years. Listen to the testimony of Ron Skinner.
Yes, yes, yes. Whew, man, just gotta take a deep breath and suck all this in. Let me take you all the way back. I grew up south side of Chicago, Jackson Park in Inglewood. Came from a two-parent home, or one-parent home. Me and my sister grew up in Inglewood before we moved, but man, I'm just taking a deep breath right now, just looking at where I'm at right now to where I came from. And as I look and just had a moment to just look into my soul and look at what God has done for me right now, I look at all the things that happened to me. You know, a lot of times when I was young, you know, I watched my moms go to the store and we walking with her. And we walking with her. We just walking. We just walking. We don't have no money for pretty much nothing, but we just walking to the store, you know, together. She was like, man, y'all gonna stay together. We with mom. We just kicking it. As we walk into the store, in my mind, I'm looking like, when I get older, I'm never gonna walk again. I'm gonna be driving something. You know what I'm saying? I really wanted to help my moms out. And this is when we was young, you know, so I'm looking at how I'm going to help my moms out. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, okay, cool. She working 2 jobs, on the bus, taking us to school. You know, we going over my grandma's house. We doing all these things, and I'm looking at her. I can't even help her. You know, it's just me and my sister. I'm looking like, man, what I'm going to do to help her? So, you know, as we grew up, you know, my mother encouraged us to go to church and everything. But I'm looking like, church? Man, how we going to get paid? That's what I'm looking at. Like, how we going to really get paid? You know, she talked about go to church because my grandmother, her mother went to church. So she's saying we going to go to church too. And I'm looking at my sister like, man, we going to have to get paid. You know, so I'm looking at ways in my mind, like at a young age, how I'm going to get paid. So as we doing it, you know, she encouraging us, read the Bible and everything. We looking at each other like, yeah, that might work. But we looking at, we got to eat. So as I'm thinking in my mind, going to school, and I'm looking like, hey, I'm going to do something to make some money, help my moms out. So I'm looking. You know, I got some other guys together. We started selling different things. We started selling candy and everything. And at a young age, we just started doing stuff like selling candy. So I'm looking at if I could sell candy, wow, what else can I do? You know what I'm saying? I had a mouthpiece then. Like, I'm running up on people. Hey, would you want to buy some of this? You want to buy some of this? So I'm just taking all of that, and I'm saying, if I can do this, man, what I could do if I can do this. So, you know, I met some older guys who was telling me some things they wanted to do and how they wanted to do it, and I'm listening. I'm listening because I'm looking like we finna get fed. That's all I'm looking like. How we gonna eat, me and my sister? Because I was tired of my mother on this bus and walking. Like, I was tired of walking with groceries and getting on the bus with groceries. So in my mind at that 10, 11, or 12 age, I'm looking like, it's time for me to get a come up. So, you know, I met some older guys who told me how they came up. And I'm like, man, they was asking me to help them out, but I was like, help y'all out? Nah, I'm gonna do this by myself. So I was always going against the grain because that's just, I guess that's just the way I am at that time. So as I was going against the grain, you know, we started selling a little weed and everything, and I was like, I'm finna come up. I started coming up, but I didn't know some things though, you know what I'm saying? There's some rules to everything that you do, and sometimes these rules can really hurt. As I meant to do what's right to help my family out, it was some rules that got me in a situation that was saying, I can't help nobody out because I was locked up at a young age. So even though my mindset was like, I'm gonna make some money, which was good at that point, but I picked up bad habits though. You know, the bad habit was I kept thinking about what I could do to help her, but at the same time as I got locked up, I couldn't help nobody. So all that hustling I was doing, I end up not doing nothing. And guess what? My mother would end up still suffering a little bit because I wasn't even around to help nobody else out. So I started thinking, you know what? While I'm doing all of this negativity, I have some skills. Like, I really have some skills with my mouth and everything else. So I said to myself, you know what? I'm going to come out, you know, a little tap on the back. You go to the Artie home, a little tap on the back. That ain't really nothing. I could come out here, and I'm going to still do something different. Remember, I ain't learned no lesson yet. I just learned that I got to do something different from what I've done before. So I just stepped my game up. You know what I'm saying? I started just selling some cocaine because I understood that my game was going to be tight no matter what. So I came out with a different mindset, but still, though, I wasn't following no rules again. So here it go again. My mother's sick. She tired of me going in and out, in and out. I go to high school. I'm still getting kicked out. I ain't following no rules. I'm still trying to come up. My main goal again is to help my mom out, but I keep messing that up. So as I think I'm helping her, I'm hurting her because I keep thinking I'm going to help my mother out, but actually all my negativity that I was doing was hurting her. So here I go again. So this guy came into my life, bugging the heck out of me. I'm talking about this dude got on my nerves. He told me everything that I wasn't going to do. So what I said to him is I'm telling my mama on you, and I don't even want to come to this school no more. So you know what? My mother was like, no, you're going to listen to him. So this guy, he talking about he's going to be my mentor. I said, I don't need no mentor. What I need is some money because I want to do things my way. This guy just kept getting on my last nerves. I'm talking about my last nerve. Matter of fact, I couldn't even stand the man no more. But he showed me how to be a better man at that time. So I finally finished school on time. I wasn't the brightest kid. I went to a school called Hubbard High School, so that was in a black and white neighborhood. So, you know, I'm really just being hard-headed. But this man right here, this man did not want to leave me alone. So that was an incident right there where I said to myself, man, I'm glad he came along. Then my father started coming into my life. You know, my father was in and out, but I could call on him. But as I was younger, my dad used to set me up for failure sometimes. You know, you ever been with a dad who say, I'm coming, and then you looking out the window, and you can't see him? He's still coming. Then by the time he call you, you get mad at your mama like, what daddy had? It ain't even her fault, but you still looking out the window. So that's the mood I was in with my dad. He meant well probably, but at the same time, he set me up that way by saying, hey, I'm coming to get you. Then he got busy. Then I said to myself, man, this ain't working either. You know, but after a while, after I went to high school and graduated finally, my dad came into my life and sent me to Ben Harbor, Michigan. I didn't want to stay there either. They said, get away from the crime, get away from the crime. I'm thinking I'm finna go to school in Hyde Park and everything. They said, nope, you ain't finna go there. You about to go to Ben Harbor, Michigan. Boy, I went with some family members in Ben Harbor, Michigan. I swear to you, it was like, oh, you got to get up in the morning, take a bus, pick you up, and go to school. I wasn't even used to that. Then you had to sit on a corner for the bus to come get you. I'm like, I ain't feeling this. Then they tried to make me go to bed at 9 o'clock p.m. That what blew me right there. I was blue. As soon as she said 9 p.m., I was like, oh, no. I'm calling my mama and tell her I'm going to start doing the garbage, taking us out, because, you know, that was one of the things. You don't listen. You don't take out the garbage. You ain't doing no work. But once I seen how they lived up there, it was kind of country to me. I was like, you know what? Mom, give me a chance. Let me come back home, and I'm going to start taking out the garbage. You know, we're just taking out the garbage. I'm like, I'm going to start taking out the garbage. I'm going to do my chores. I'm going to start listening. I started playing basketball. So once I started playing basketball, that's kind of grew me a little bit because I had to follow rules. But that didn't work either because I kept thinking I was better than the other people because I was from Chicago, so I had to use that Chicago rep thing. So he put me on the bench. I called my mom again, talking to my dad. They talking about, man, weigh it out. Just weigh it out. So, but I really just couldn't do it, though. I just couldn't do it. Again, another person stepped into my life and just started talking to me. Remember, I ain't listening to him. I done ran into two men who I got a little bit of information from them, and I continued to do things my way. These people continue to keep hunting me by following me, checking up on me, but I'm still going to do it my way. So I finished that school year off and everything, and I guess what I did was sabotage my cousin them house by smoking weed. I knew that was going to get me kicked out, so I started doing that. So I said, I'm going to get back to Chicago one way or another. First of all, the rules stunk. Eat dinner at 5 o'clock, be in bed by 9 o'clock. I knew that wasn't going to go with me. I said, I'm going to start doing this, start getting her son to smoke weed too. So once that happened, I said, good. They don't like me no more. They was, you know how people talk behind your back? They was talking behind my back like, yeah, he too much. But really, that's what I wanted. I wanted them to say I was too much. Here I go. I'm back home now. I'm back to Chicago with a different mindset. I wasn't really on a hustle mindset, but that's still inside me. But that basketball kept me moving, kept me wanting to follow some rules and everything. But again, it didn't do enough for me at that time. You know, I got through that, came back, played basketball again, still trying to take care of my mom, still met some old people who first thing they said when I got back in, hey man, I know you want to get back on again. First thing I said is, damn right, I want to be back on again. I'm still thinking like, it ain't work when I was younger, but it might work now. I came back, I'm hungry now. I'm looking at, you know what, girls are older, I'm a little older, I want to drive. No driver's license, I just want to drive. You know how that goes. So I'm just like, you know what, I'm going to make this happen. Here I go. Now I'm seeing some big things. I'm seeing families bound for me. At that point of time, I said to myself, this is bigger than me. But I'm enjoying it, though. I'm enjoying me watching other people use my drugs to get high with. And at the same time, I'm like, man, pay me. Like, I'm going to people's houses, They shooting up. I'm like, cool. I know it works. If you shoot up, I see you scratching yourself. I know that works. I'm like, there's some good stuff I got right here. You know what I'm saying? So I'm looking like, if I can do this, I need more action. So I had to find some other people to work with me. That was the hardest thing because I was kind of young and I was inexperienced, but I kept saying, I know how to do this. I know how to do this. That was the leadership ability in me, but it was just doing something wrong again. Here it go. Even though I was doing all of this, I had a passion to still help people. Yeah, you short. Hey, man, I don't care if you short. I'm going to give you a break this time because you're a consistent customer. So I'm still reaching for people. I'm still saying, you $1 short, you $5 short. I can get it back on the other end. Man, okay, I got me a nice group of people. I got me a nice little people outside doing some things. But one thing I've learned, though, by doing all of that, I was actually hurting people. I meant well, though. I'm like, I got that cure. Really, it wasn't even a cure. I was hurting people who have families. So I kept saying to myself, it's their fault. You know what I'm saying? It's their fault they're giving me their title. It's their fault they're giving me this. It's their fault. But at the end of the day, God has brought me around, and around to just think. Now I do a mentoring program helping the same type of people that I was. The same type of people God has brought back into my life for me to give a word of encouragement. And guess what? That was my purpose all along, is to bring people closer to God through my walk. My walk has been up and down, but once I got my sniff of God and I seen the things that I put myself through, I said to myself, man, thank you, Jesus, for giving me the ability to turn other people around. And I leave on this note, I have a mentoring program. It's called Just Because Mentoring, and it stands for Jesus Became My Savior. Because what I went through, I've turned my life around and have helped many youth who come from the same background that I have, foster home and corrections. So I just, like, my purpose is unbelievable right now. I mean, the homeless, the youth, I'm just, like, ecstatic for God. And God has just showed me that, hey, you get up here and you get out here and you continue to strive. It's a strive I'm doing. You know, I feel the passion of God. I feel that, you know, I can't be stopped at this point, you know. So I just really want to just say thank you, God, for giving me an opportunity to change youth lives around based upon what you did for me. Again, it only happened because I allowed God to come into my life and use me.
All right. Real talk from real people about real life. Y'all know how this segment is getting ready to be. I'm getting ready to be able to share a little bit with our two guests. Amazing testimonies again. And I thank God for just you all just being transparent and letting people know what it really is. I was listening to you, Esther, and I'm like, wow, our stories are similar. Because I have 5 sisters and 3 brothers, 9 kids, and we grew up in Abla Homes, project development on Racine and Roosevelt Road in Chicago. so like, I didn't know that. And you know, when you know things like that, you begin to connect with people in a different way. So, in growing up in that environment, and having that, you having that many brothers and sisters and things like that, how did it really feel? Did you feel, and what I always talk about, did you feel like you were boxed in to that environment? And if not, what made you feel like you could have been anything? I felt boxed in. How did you feel?
I am the 3rd girl and the 5th child, so I'm a middle. So I was in a good position to see how they were coming, how the ones had gone before me and the ones that were coming up. So it made me make a decision. What I was able to decide, oh no, I'm not doing that. I'm not going to work and bring my money home. That's what my older sisters and brothers did. They went to work and they gave my parents their money. And I thought, oh, no, no. So I didn't feel it helped me make decisions. So I think I got out, if I could say it like that. I got out because I saw their lives before me. Even though it wasn't with the right attitude, but I got out. You know, I'll show you.
And that's another part that I'm gonna get to, because I think I was the third oldest, so I was kind of pegged as the savior of the family. You know, I was gonna get us out of the projects, right? And so all that pressure was on me, but then I was also trying to prove as the short guy, because they always called me, they used to call me Jeff Roach. So I was this little fast guy. So they used to bother me a little bit. Then of course, you know, you wearing different clothes. Your brothers, you wearing your brother's clothes, and you know, you just didn't have that much. And so in a lot of ways, you know, they just said you poor, and called me poor boy sometimes. And so it kind of it boxed me in, I guess, mentally. But at the end of the day, I did like you. I tried to take it and use that as fuel to get out. All right, Ron, growing up the way that you did, and I am listening to you, those guys that were in your ear trying to get you in a positive direction. What do you think it was that made you turn them off in the beginning? Obviously, toward the end, you begin to hear them because you started doing what they was actually doing to you. How did it make you feel as they were listening, as you were listening to what they were saying to you?
I just thought I knew more than them at that time. Didn't want to look at what they were saying. Didn't want to hear anything because I already had my mind set on the way I wanted to do things. But, you know, at that time when you're young, your decisions are based upon what you know. I didn't know nothing. I thought I did, but I didn't know nothing. I just knew what I saw, which was I'm going to eat. I'm going to make sure my mother eat, you know. But at the same time, they was telling me it's another way. I kept saying, well, I see all these guys doing this. What other way could it be? You know, but at the same time, these guys, they stayed in my ear because they saw something in me that I couldn't even see in my own self at that time. And that's really why I'm still doing what I'm doing in mentoring, man, because it's hard. And I know these kids be listening, but sometimes they like, I got a better way, you know, so, you know.
And that could be frustrating. I'm listening to you, and I had coaches that was in my ear all the time about, you know, just positive things, but I wasn't trying to hear that at that time either. And it's crazy because it's the same thing that happens in the generation today. They think they know what they doing, or they know what they want to do, and so they're not really listening to us. But we keep going anyway. We keep trying anyway, and I think that's a great thing. So, Esther, as you talk about the spirit of rejection, when the spirit of rejection is present, what are some of the things that happens to you as a result in terms of the relationships that you were talking about?
You think you're pulling people in close, but you're really pushing them away. Again, I use the examples, the insecurity brought about a sense of sensitivity. You know, so if somebody said something to me, I had an attitude because I perceived it to be, something, a hit, a stab, a jab, because I had been jabbed at from an infant, So somebody was always trying to take a shortcut at getting at me, saying something about me negative, because I didn't have a good picture of myself. I just had a mind that I was going to do these things, but what I looked like and how I felt about me wasn't good. So being sensitive, and then that was one of them. In the insecurity, sensitivity came with it, and then I was very defensive.
And that part of your life that made you that way, was it as a result of what people said about you?
Yes, because as, you know, just the average person going up to school. Now, that seed was planted in me there, but then you going through school, you know, we all had our ugly days, pimples and that, you know, baby fat they called it, but mine stayed with me a long time, and, you know, and so those things. And then, of course, I had sisters that had, my mom had very keen features, and my dad had, you know, features like mine. And so I felt like I had a pug nose, my sister's nose were, you know what I mean? So here we were being matched up. My mom would always say, can't go out by yourself. You always got to take your younger sister where she was beautiful. And so, you know, when we went out, she would be getting the attention. You see what I'm saying? And so here again, I'm feeling rejected. And so now I get defensive, you know, and I'm super sensitive. So those are the fruit of the root of rejection.
Yeah, got you.
Or some of them.
I was looking at, I think it was GMA, Good Morning America, last week, and Pitbull was on there. And he used the acronym UGLY, U-G-L-Y, you gotta love yourself. And when I saw that, I was like, man, that's so powerful. And I think sometimes even though that's a simple thing, it's very difficult to do when you've gone through the experiences you've gone through to make you feel ugly or make you feel like you're not enough. Ron, go ahead. Absolutely.
One of the classes that I teach now in the Worth Ministry, since I partnered with Valley every first and third Thursday of the month, is how to love yourself first. Loving yourself first. Because like the scripture says, you know, love your neighbor as you love yourself. And so I got it.
Powerful, powerful. Ron, one of the things you talked about earlier that I also was able to identify with is taking sports and being able to do something positive with it to keep your mind off of the other stuff that you actually could be doing. How big of a part did that play in your life? You mentioned it a little bit, but how big of a part did that play in your life in order to kind of try to keep you on the right track?
Well, it kept accountability. The coaches really came around and saw something in me again that I didn't even see, and made me accountable for my time and my action. You know, I ended up having a scholarship to two universities, Southeastern Junior College. Left there and went to Central Missouri State University based upon coming from a small school of Hubbard. But working hard and was something I learned to do, you know, just working hard because I didn't have anything. So I said if I work hard, something might come out of me just working hard, you know. And again, accountability. You know, I was accountable for my time. I was accountable to go to school because if I wasn't, the first thing the coach said, if you act up, I'm sending you home. He said that, I said, I don't got nothing to do at home, so I'm gonna try to get it right. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it wasn't easy because, you know, you still got that hard head in you, but when you got coaches that putting their foot up on you and showing you love and consistency, then you feel a little bit different about it. You know what I'm saying? You want to hate them, but at the same time, you want to love them because they could leave at any time, but they kept seeing something in me, and I kept saying to myself, Mom, tell these guys to leave me alone. You know what I'm saying? I'm looking at, they messing with me, but in just looking at it, they was messing with me because they cared. You know what I'm saying? And that's, again, everything comes full circle. You know, like right now, even though I mess with some guys who are hard-headed, I just care, though. Like, I can't even quit. Like, I be trying to find a way to quit on them. It's just nothing won't let me quit because I seen someone do it to me who never quit it. So when I get a kid coming in from jail, he cursing me out, he just got out, I'm like, man, dude, you just don't know where I've been either. You know how a person come to you and say, hey, man, you don't know my story. I say, yo, bro, you don't know mine neither. But let's work some things out, though. So, you know, I'm like, no matter what happened, man, I'm here for you. And that's really a statement when you say it to a young person because of rejection. Yeah. You know, they saying if I act bad enough, you'll leave. I'm saying if you act bad enough, that means you need some mentoring. You know, that's what I say. You know.
And that goes back to what you were saying. In a way, and I think it's innate that they push you away, really, but they really need you to come closer. But it's that desire to not feel rejected again. that you push people away. And you were talking about, and one, I can name them, man, Coach Lazardo Lucas, Homer Lyons, Roy Coulter, Chuck Majors. These are guys that on the West Side growing up, man, they kept me under their wing and they wouldn't quit on me, and that's a great part of it. But I'm gonna tell you something powerful that I want you to speak to it, that was big also, and that was rules. How important is rules in the life of a young boy?
Listen, now they're very important because I have to follow them. It's just so hard. Sometimes I get trying to find a shortcut, but it ain't a shortcut. So, the rules is I have to follow them. I mean, it's still hard to this day because I'm really a go-getter. Like, I really just want to conquer the world. But there's some rules to this. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to talk to people. You got to ask people, man. I'm still working on it. Like, I'm asking God to give me that right now while you talking about it. Rules are very important. I have to learn them. I have to put them in my heart, though, man, because I keep saying, well, just because it didn't work for you, it might work for me. You know what I'm saying? I'm still trying to find a way. Rules are meant to be broken. That's what I say sometimes. Just who's going to break them. That's but it's one of them things I'm still working on, man, following some rules, understanding that everybody tried a shortcut. It didn't work for them. So the rules are the most important because, and I'm sounding like a mentor, rules keep you safe. No matter what I want to do, they keep me safe.
Absolutely. Esther, you talked a little bit about the ministry that you have. Let's hear a little bit more about it, and then I would also kind of want to hear about some of the encounters you have had, and maybe even some great things that have occurred as a result of your encounter with some of those ladies in your ministry. Is it men and ladies? Ladies.
Men can come, but I focus on the women, because statistically more women are abused than men are. So I don't try to, I stay in my lane. Let me just say it like that. We'll leave the men to you. And so, the name of the business is Lightning Star Incorporated, and we educate and counsel women in domestic violence and emotional abuse situations. The class that I have that's held every month here for 12 weeks is called Worth, and the name speaks for itself because we're worth it. Most of us women, and we mask very well. We do what we have to do. A lot of men aren't in the home, and as a result of the men not being in the home, we do what we have to do. But also we resort to unhealthy behavior in order to accomplish the things that we want to accomplish. So one of the things that I teach in Loving Yourself First is really the foundation of it is learning how to communicate healthy. When you're feeling something, don't try to manipulate because you're feeling that way. Communicate it. Why? If you love you and someone is saying something that doesn't agree with how you feel about you and the decision that you would best make for yourself, then why not just express it? So teaching them how to say it without being angry. You don't have to be mad because it's a decision that you're making for you. They're making the best decision for them. And so I like this saying that I have is, somebody's not going to be mad when you make a decision. Why does it have to be you? Why does it have to be you? And so that's one of the things. But I also like to say, once a year I do a book shut-in. It starts on a Friday at 6 o'clock. God gives me a book to choose, and we read the book, and then we go from 6 to noon, which is a brunch. So I feed them coming in. We have a whole night together. Ministry goes forth. Then we go into the book, and really it deals with the soul of the woman. It's really not about domestic violence. All women, all cultures have come and are invited. All churches are invited to come, and we're doing one this year at the Friendship Center on June 21st to the 22nd. It's a $15 fee this year because God is opening it up. But the book is Hinds Feet in High Places. It's an allegorical reading, and I tell you, it will cut you. But I tell you, come to the book shut-in, and he'll be healed.
Good stuff. I got a question for you, and I want you to speak to it if you can. I have a football and cheerleading program, right? So a lot of the kids that's in my community, you know, whether they're in high school or going on to college, you know, when I usually get a phone call from the high school, and it's about some of my kids who might be fighting at school. I get more calls about girls than I do the boys. What is it that you think is going on with the young girls in this day and time, as far as the anger and the things that they're dealing with?
I think there's a male figure missing in the home, and that's a major. As a matter of fact, it's interesting that you say that, because this year I've made contact with one school right now. I want to go into it's a middle school, and those are some of the very issues we want to talk about. Self-love. They don't understand themselves, so they're reaching out and they're fighting back at something that they don't really understand, and so it comes out in an angry way. Here we go, insecure. You're insecure, so now it's somebody else's fault, because you know it's not your fault. So, but it's not just the insecurity; it's the fruit of that root, which is the sensitivity. So they become sensitivity. You know, they're rejected. The dad's not there. Who knows if the mom is there? A lot of them nowadays are being raised, you know, and then a lot of them are latchkey kids, so the mom's not there. So, yes, that's the biggest problem now with the young girls. The young girls are worse than the young boys right now, and I believe it's because there's a male figure that's missing.
I believe you're absolutely correct. A lot of times I say because they don't have that covering, they're attempting to cover themselves. So, Ron, I know you talk a little bit about Just Because mentoring, and then, you know, some of the things that you are seeing in the young boys and that you're helping them with.
Well, currently, again, I've been in business for 16 years. I currently mentor young men who are in prison, coming out, Department of Correction, and in foster care. I also create after-school programs. I'm in a couple schools doing mentoring through DGen, mentoring through a couple other things, using mentoring as the tool to help the young men and the young ladies out. One of the things that I have seen, let me just go back. Beyond mentoring, I do a lot of things with the homeless, only because it makes me feel like I'm accountable for saying this could happen to me. So I use my mentoring with my youth to go help out the homeless, because they have to learn how to give back. But one of the things I'm seeing right now is that we keep doing the same thing and trying to work with youth that ain't working. So I've been reading a couple books, I've been training and everything. So one of the things that's going on right now is we had to listen to them. We always got an answer, and we don't even know what they're going through. We couldn't imagine what it is to sit in 3rd, 4th grade when people teasing you. You couldn't imagine, because you know what? You're a grown-up, you don't know. And we have to become listeners. And another thing is that we have to step out our comfort zone. We too comfortable. We ain't gonna talk to him because he got his pants down. Is that the major issue? No, that's not. He got his pants down because he haven't seen how this is supposed to go. So he has to see a vision of how this goes, and he has to be talked to, not talked at. So we have to come off our high horse. And one of the hardest things about mentoring is finding men who want to mentor you. Not preach. We don't want to hear no more preaching, because kids tell that right now. I don't want nobody to preach to me. I need resources, and that's what they're asking for. Talk to me, not talk at me. Listen to me, because our kids are visionaries. They have visions that we keep saying. One of the key things they say that we keep saying as grown-ups is that we don't want to work at a steel mill. We don't want to do that. We want to create our own app. We want to do coding. So when you're talking about mentoring, you have to mentor towards the behavior of the kid. So a lot of times, a young man, one of the biggest things now is called trauma. Now, trauma is happening all over, not just the kids that's in the state, no, our own kids. Trauma is the trump card for everything we do. Me and you married, you break up, that's traumatizing. I'm used to 2 people in my home. Income is stopped, that's traumatizing. Some of my young men are being traumatized because of what? Lack of love. It still come down to love. No matter how we cut this cake, I don't feel loved, I don't feel accepted. So I got this gang over here, they showing me love. What I tell them, when they listen to me, because remember, mama saying I'm too busy, but guess what? When I go to them, they saying, what's up? They saying, well, this dude messing with me over there. So guess what? He got some other guys who going through some stuff. So what's up might mean let's go get him. Mama too busy, daddy too busy. And we got to step up and step out. We got to we have to stop being so comfortable, and we got to stop blaming the next person. It says reach one, teach one. Guess what? Reach one, teach one. It doesn't make a difference if you're here or over there. Pull him to you. Shake his hand. Give him eye contact. You know, before you tell him to pull up his pants, why don't you ask him his name first? You know, the realest of it is that we got to step up. We got to step up, you know, just as men.
So we're coming to the close here, and what I'd like you to do, Esther, is there might be somebody out there that need to be encouraged, that need to be inspired. With some closing remarks, speak to that person.
I would say, don't be ashamed of who you are. You know, God did not create any carbon copies. We're all an original. And I came through all the years, and one thing I had to say is that I knew my Father's love. He wasn't there all the years of my life, but for the years that he was, I knew the love of a father. And so it allowed me to allow myself to be loved by God the Father. And so if you open your heart and allow God to love you and seek the necessary resources, like the man of God said, seek the necessary resources to find out who you are. Recognize the unhealthy things that are happening with you and don't blame them on somebody. You're an individual. And nobody can take that from you. Nobody can say that it isn't. Don't be angry with them. Just express who you are and keep doing you and becoming who you've been created to be, to walk in your purpose as God would have it to be.
Yeah. Ask you to do the same. Speak to somebody's heart, man.
Look into the mirror. Go deep into that mirror. Look at yourself. And when you look at yourself, you got to ask yourself, I am the greatest I am. You have to keep repeating something to yourself so you can believe it. I am the greatest I am. So when you look into the mirror, sometimes we don't want to look into the mirror because it would expose who you really are. So you have to start looking into that mirror, and you have to quote this to yourself, I am the greatest I am. That means God only made one of you. So that means you're the greatest I am. And you have to speak that into your life over and over and over. It can save you because it saved me. I kept looking into the mirror. I wasn't even happy with that man in the mirror, but I had to keep repeating it. I am the greatest I am. I started winning. If you look at my bracelet, it said trust in everything. I am the greatest I am. I wear it. I walk in my T-shirt. It says I'm lit. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm feeling the power. It only comes when you talk. You have to persevere through everything, obstacles. And it's not about giving up. Do not let your pain stop you from getting where God wants you to go. Overcome it by speaking life into your circumstances. And that's for that person looking into the mirror right now.
We hope you have been inspired. I believe you have been inspired and empowered and even encouraged by this experience that we've had in Real Talk. I want to thank you, Esther, once again for joining us. Thank you, Ron, for joining us. Join us again for another edition of Real Talk, where it's real people talking about real life. Join us again. God bless you.